gods never left. From time to time, you'll come across a Christian or anti-theist who will say, "Your gods left you," referring to the time between mass Christian conversion and the modern era, or trying to logic you out of polytheism. They're wrong. I'm not sure how other theistic perspectives justify the so-called gap where the pagan gods supposedly left or seceded from humanity. The archetypal perspective explains it thoroughly. The gods never left. They've been with us since humanity gained the sapiency to comprehend the divine. Whether that means gods are purely psychological and simply parts of our psyche, or that we're comprehending something vast with our monkey brains, in a form we know how to comprehend, proto-forms that resemble us, divine beings we can relate to. And despite the Christian colonization of what they decided to call the West, we still see those gods today. They may look modern or different, but the archetypal foundation is the same. They exist as they always have, in our stories. This doesn't make them any less divine. In fact, this explains why art and the Jinragan holy powers always been connected. Isn't it odd how archaeologists seem to think every story and statue is religious? Were there no Sumerian superheroes? No Hellenic high fantasy? Of course there were. But, as is true today, all art reflects the divine. In heathenry, we're taught of Odin's acquisition of the mead of poetry. That mead representing the divine liquid that inspires art. The Other energy Odin is named for. As he escaped with the mead, he had to defecate to lose weight and gain speed. That excrement was allegory for bad art. Today, we still see the archetypes in our stories. The huntress, like Skadi, Artemis, Sekhmet, and Durga's aspect Kali, powerful goddesses of hunt and destruction, the divine feminine as aggressor and protector. In modern media, we see this as Katniss, Merida, Red Sonja, Ripley from Alien, and many women who defy patriarchal norms and become badasses. Likewise, we encounter the divine masculine protector in many forms. Thor, Heracles, Prokunos, Indra, Shango. Today we see this in Walking Tall, The Rundown, Black Adam, movie, not comic, and even in WWE's The Rock. Okay, but seriously, the People's Champ is basically a modern Thunderer. It's much easier to find male action heroes, and you'll notice that, like Thor and other Thunderers, they tend to be brash and dangerous while embodying the masculine ideal of their era.
Vengeance.
Honestly, most superheroes will fit into a Herculean mold. Even Superman, who was inspired by Jewish lore, has more of a Samson quality to him, though his origin was inspired by Moses. But his position in the Justice League is more Skyfather, as he is both named for El, the Canaanite Skyfather, who became the god of the Bible and the Israelites, but he also is fueled not by justice, but by love of humanity. That's what Snyder got wrong. He's not a Jesus allegory. He was never inspired by Christian myth. That was imposed upon him. To be fair, Christians think everything is Jesus or Satan. Kal-El, the Superman, is a symbol of hope, not because he's a vengeful hammer, but rather because his love of the human experience, his love of the people. Like Tyr and Zeus's daughter Themis, an aspect of his justice, Superman's justice is more about balance than punishment. I believe another decent example of the Skyfather is the God Emperor from 40K. Though he's a blend of the Worm Emperor from Dune and Roman emperors being divine, almost satirically, but he still embodies many Skyfather aspects and qualities. Last example, before my conclusion. This video would be even longer if I did too many. Most modern attention spans have clicked away by now. The Synex, typically a dark figure of wisdom associated with the underworld. Odin, Veles, Hades, Oron, many gods of wisdom associated with the underworld and forbidden magics. You can only guess my first example, as I used Superman as the Skyfather. That's right, The Undertaker. His Old West persona of the dead man actually fits pretty well. Mark Calloway portrayed a very apt example of the Dark Cynics, though his wisdom was more behind the scenes. Oh, and Batman kind of fits too, I guess. What with the journey to gain wisdom, dark persona, dedication to get shit done, regardless of tactics, and even collecting young warriors like his own personal Einherjar, he kinda has some cognate with Odin. Conclusion. This is not to say these figures are gods. They lack the apotheosis. It would require dedicated worship to achieve that. They are, however, cognates of gods, reflective of the archetypes we all hold within us. Not gods themselves, though some chaos magicians will use them in their practices the same way one would commune with a divine aspect. As we've seen, the gods never truly left us. Hell, even the Christians bear these archetypes in their saints. Saint Dionysus and Saint Bridget are even direct rip-offs of pagan gods bearing the same names. Dionysus is a cognate of Odin, note the meat of poetry myth, and he also has a connection to the underworld. Likewise, Bridget, a goddess of fire, has nuns dedicated to her that keep a fire lit. And Saint George the Dragon Slayer is a cognate of Sigurd, and even Thor's struggle against Jormungandr. A frequent conflict of all thunderers is a conflict with the serpent. The gods cannot leave us because they're part of us. We can't help but write their stories. It's as though the gods were giant stones, and each of us has a shard of each and every god within us. Some shards are bigger than others. Some connections are stronger than others. But as a whole, we come together and create the vastness of divinity expressed through art and creation. As part of my personal practice, I even draw the gods when seeking a deeper connection. But music, poetry, the spoken word, any expression of self can be art. And any art can be divine. This also includes physical arts like dance, martial arts, lifting weights, or it can be bird shit, eye of the beholder and all that. Where do you see the archetypes? Do you see the gods around you? Do you notice the little signs that they've been with us all along? Scar.